And we're live. We might even be a couple seconds early, but welcome to another week of Gimbal Weekly Updates. I'm just going to jump right in with the disclaimers and say hello to everyone right after. So content provided at the event is for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any performance referenced is historical and no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Any economic forecast set forth during the event may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that any strategy will be successful. These thoughts and opinions are those of Gimbal Financial and do not represent the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Gimbal Financial, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL. And there's that. I've got Keith Tyner here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Debbie Cash, how are you doing?
Hi,
Deb?
everybody. I'm good.
And Doug Sharif, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
It's another lovely Friday morning here in Indianapolis, so no complaints here.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, things are growing in Indianapolis. If you stop by Gimbal's New World headquarters, you'll notice that the grass is growing, and that's primarily because Keith waters it. He puts on his muck boots every day and goes out there and waters the grass. And so come by and admire all of Keith's work. He's a farmer at heart.
When I came in today, I noticed somebody else had been farming. I noticed some new flowers. I don't even know who did that.
I saw that last night. Who did that?
I don't know.
Debbie, nice work.
They might die, but now they're alive.
Yeah, brightened up the place. Nice job, Debbie.
Well, good morning, everybody. So yeah, we are just so thankful to join you on Friday mornings, and whether you have a cup of coffee in hand, or you're doing brunch at your table, or you're back at work, we are extremely thankful for you and glad to be here. Glad to be doing business with you. Glad to be doing life with you. And one of our goals throughout this time together is just to converse with each other and educate on markets. We love to highlight the markets, and I've been getting some feedback from you along the way. Some of the feedback is, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. And other feedback I get is, hey, I'm learning some stuff. I understand what the 50-day moving average is and the 200-day. And so this morning, we wanted to do the same. We wanted to go through and highlight the markets with you. But I wanted to tell you about something that's kind of unusual in the marketplace, and it will happen basically over the weekend. On the 26th, yeah, today, there are stock market indexes that are rebalancing themselves. And so some of the winners are sticking around and some of the losers are going out. And that's similar to what we do with your resources as well, is we're trying to take advantage of the winners and trying to get rid of the losers. It's interesting, sometimes those losers become winners again. And so you might see us buy a position back, which is just a kind of a strange phenomenon to do, to say, okay, we didn't do well during that time, but it looks good again. And so we're going to try and take advantage of it. So I thought I'd share this screen with you, and we'll jump in and take a look at the markets. Here's the NASDAQ. And as we've talked about in the past, this is basically 3,500 companies. It's a great representation on what's going on in the stock market as far as technology goes, emerging companies, biotechs, financials, healthcare, and as you can see, it's just been roaring. This week has been a great week for the NASDAQ. We started off strong, gave back some gains, and then did pretty well yesterday too. So we've had a lot of blue, which basically means we've had positive days, and that's been good to see for the NASDAQ. I'm going to switch over to the S&P 500, which this index is a little bit more broad. This is going to include several different companies, They're all large companies. And when we say large cap companies, we're talking about market capitalization. And the reason why market capitalization is important is it's a measure of what a company's worth is in the marketplace. And to even capture what a market cap is, I thought I'd highlight a stock as an example. This is one that you guys are probably all familiar with, Eli Lilly. And you can see here, if we look at the market capitalization, it's $155 billion. That's a lot of commas and zeros. And the way to get to $155 billion is you take the shares that are out there, 956 million shares. Everybody have their risk calculators out, their wristwatch calculators. 965 million times the share price, 163.22, would get you at your market cap. And so when we're talking market cap, that's how we come up with the math. And so when we go back, my computer's a little slow here. There we go. When we go back to the S&P 500, we're talking about some of the largest market cap companies that are out there. And some of these indexes, they rotate the winners and the losers. And that's what's happening right now. So you have portfolio analysts who are out there trying to get ahead of it and trying to decide who's winning, who's losing. Let's shed the winners and let's shed the losers and let's buy the winners. And so that's what's been happening this week, and really even this month. Another index that we've been tracking has been smaller company stocks. And you can see these just haven't performed as well. Yes, they're ahead of their 50-day moving averages, but they have not catapulted above the 200-day. We tried right here back in early June, but the test failed. And so we came back down in price. So even though it looks like the big companies are doing so well, like the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, some of the companies that are out there just haven't been able to catch up quite as strongly. Keith, what do you have to add to that?
Well, the market is a little, are you guys getting the feedback from me? Let me turn the earbud off.
Not so much anymore now, but.
Okay. Well, if you just eyeball that and see that S&P hit 3,400 right before the big drop off there, and it's roughly 3,000 now, that's still a 10% decline that the S&P has had this year. And then if you go back to the S&P 600, Doug, those smaller companies, that peaked out at 1040 and it's right around 800. So it's still down 22% from where it was just a few months ago. And then you go back over to the NASDAQ, and you see this is hitting new highs. And most of this is driven by what we know as the FANG stocks: Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, Amazon. And I'm probably missing another one. I can't remember what other one I'm missing, but they comprise about 35 to 40% of that index. So if you don't have those 4, 5, 6 stocks, you might have experienced more like what was going on with those other 2 charts. And so it's a really misleading market out there. Your friends that you talk to, their accounts could still be down pretty dramatically. And so it's a peculiar time in the markets, particularly with all the negative news out there. People don't even know what to think about what's going on, I think.
Last week, we talked about commodities a little bit and spoke about corn, and I can't remember if we touched on oil or not, but this is an interesting commodity. This is a ETF that tracks gold in gold bullion, the actual form. And this has been doing very well. You can see it hasn't had the price fluctuations like the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. This has been a little more smooth. And normally with gold, I think there are only two reasons to buy gold. You either buy gold as an investment like this, you hope that it goes up, or you buy gold for Armageddon protection, and you have gold bullion bars shipped to your house, and you put them in a safe, and gold says, store me, secure me, insure me, don't tell anybody about me.
I want it for another reason, Doug.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's this thing right here. I got it for decorations and more like, and that's a constant demand out there that helps push gold prices up at some point. But yeah, it's normally a pessimistic view of the economy when the gold prices are going up. But yeah, and sometimes it suggests people think there's going to be inflation as well.
That's right. And so what we've been seeing recently is we've been seeing some weakening in the dollar. And so when dollar weakens, gold tends to go up. And so for many, this is a hedge in a person's portfolio where they could have a little bit of protection instead of getting into a bond market or shorting the markets, you are buying insurance on the markets. Gold can tend to be a hedge at times. And so it's been interesting to track the price of gold and just seeing that it really has not been doing what stocks have.
When you use the word hedge, if I understand right, like in the olden days, people would put a hedge around their property, a protection around their property is what a hedge was. And when you hear people that are hedging things, that's generally what they're saying is that I'm going to give up some of the upside on my investment portfolio to protect the bigger thing. And so hedging normally is going to reduce the returns on your portfolio unless the world goes opposite of what the bulk of your portfolio is. So that's normally what happens when somebody says hedging. They're taking a portion of their portfolio and carving that as what Doug said, like in insurance to the rest of their portfolio.
And a lot of times that hedge is not a large position. It tends to be a small one. And so you may see that from time to time where your portfolio has a hedge built into it. So that's the market. If you have specific questions on what we covered or stocks in general or different sectors or sleeves of the economy, maybe it's the one that you work in. Maybe you work in healthcare or telecommunications and you're curious what's going on, shoot us a message and we'll do the research to give you our opinion. What else is going on, Amanda?
Well, and just on that topic as well, all those stocks or all those indices that we showed were strictly just to show market cap and market trends. So we don't recommend any of those, but that's just a little disclaimer. And Keith, on your note about your ring there, most people these days who are getting married are actually, they'll buy that and then they actually wear just a piece of plastic. So it's just a change of the times, regardless of what it is.
What are you saying to me, Amanda? Are you keeping me up to date with the times?
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. And I'm also letting you know, I know we've talked a lot about, the cultural changes that we've been seeing, and maybe your sons or even your daughters are more interested in this, but I was watching a sporting event the other day, and it was soccer. So don't judge me, Doug. Don't judge me. But the Premier League is back on, as are a lot of sports, but they're all looking a little different. They're empty stadiums, no one in the crowds. But if you're watching it on TV, the broadcasting has actually put sound of a crowd on the broadcasting. So the players can't hear it in the stadiums, but, as a viewer, it's like nothing's changed except there's sound coming from no one in the stands. Someone even got fouled or something and it was a home game and they even had booing. Like, they've incorporated all these different things. And so I know NBA's coming back without fans, but they're all going to be in Orlando. We don't really know what the NFL is going to look like. I don't know about MLB, but there's just this whole idea around sports, and so much of what sports is making money. And so if you can't put people in those seats, what are we going to do?
Well, I think what I've learned here, Amanda's watching soccer, and so sometimes it's darkest just before the dawn. Sorry, all you soccer fans out there. I'll go to a game with you. If you want to go to the Indy 11 game when they come back, I'll go with you.
Thanks. Well, growing up playing soccer my entire life, that's what I get. It's a love of the game.
I'm just teasing. Hey,
Yeah.
well, one of the benefits of retirement is doing what you want to do. And so if you want to watch a soccer game, I say go for it. That's better than sitting around and watching your favorite flavor of the news these days. And so,
That's
a
right.
soccer game, that's not all bad.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I know Keith loves going to NBA games.
Anytime you can put me in a crowd to wait in
I
line
know.
for something, I'm thrilled. I just love waiting in line. It's one of my hobbies.
Well, this might benefit you then. If there isn't any lines or any stadiums to sit in, Caleb can't drag you to
Exactly.
Just one of the
So-
things that we're seeing.
So
Cool.
Keith, if you're not going to go to an NBA game someday, you and Connie, you're 72 years old. What will you be doing?
You saying I'm 72 or what?
No, when you're like 72 and you're looking for something to do on a Thursday night,
Think
you're not
about
going to
way in the
you're
future.
not
Keith.
going to go to an NBA game. What's life going to look like?
Well, Connie will be reading. She'll be home reading. I'll probably be sitting in my driveway hanging out with my neighbors or going over to somebody else's house and hanging out there if I'm allowed to by then. But I'm gonna make the most of my time. I was talking to an 84-year-old friend this week, and he quit working in the last few weeks. And he has been a friend for probably 40 years. And he said he has been working since he was 9 years old, and he quit. And his final job was a caddy at a country club. And in his professional days,
Wait. That was his last job?
his last job was a caddy.
84?
84.
Well done.
Do we
Yeah.
even consider that a job?
Yeah, Amanda.
What in the world?
My goodness, we're going to stop this meeting. Pause
So
it.
enjoyable. It's just
I hope he isn't watching now. So
You're going to have
No.
to start carrying our computer bags around just to get some respect for caddies out there.
yeah.
no, it's
Oh,
just
man.
enjoyable.
Sorry,
It's
Keith.
Oh, okay.
I went off the rails there.
All right. Well,
Not bad.
he made me think about this book. I'm always giving books away, The History of Retirement, and I do not recommend this book unless you're just a geek and you want to read something. But I found a little of this. The title is called The History of Retirement: The Meaning and Function of American Institution from 1885 to 1978. So I at one time wanted to know what retirement was about, and this title calls it an institution. Have you ever thought of it that way?
No.
And it's an offensive book, really, when you read it. And I'll just read you some captions out of it here because it's thought-provoking in a lot of ways. In 1905, a Canadian doctor, William Osler, delivered a graduation speech that was entitled The Fixed Period. He had two main ideas there. First was a comparative uselessness of men above 40 years old.
Oh, that's harsh. That is. Who is this guy?
William Osler. So his second point was the uselessness of men about 60 years of age, and in the incalculable benefit it would be in commercial, political, and professional life if such a man stopped work at that age. So he basically was saying that you're losing your usefulness at 40 completely, and at 60 it's ridiculous. And so that train of thought around the 1900s was what was the seed of the idea of retirement, for which many people long for today. And then there was a article back in those days in a publication called the New York Evening Mail. It said older men could remain vital and productive in the decades after 40. They were giving hope to those like you, Doug. After 40, they could remain productive and vital. There was a guy named Lujo Brentano who wrote a book, Hours and Wages, in 1915, and it offered that the capitalist class it offered the capitalist class a powerful rationale for eliminating older workers who are inefficient, tradition-bound, and for the hiring younger workers with more muscle, energy, and fewer ties to the past. So when Amanda was taunting me about not knowing about the new rings, she's bringing those new ideas to get rid of these old guys down the road. And then it talked about, it said by the 1960s, with all this history that went back to the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, by the 1960s, retirement itself was an identifiable commodity sold to consumers, old and young, like any other product. That's the backdrop I wanted to kind of talk about retirement, because my friend made me really think about that. Like, retirement doesn't necessarily have to mean quit working, which is really pushed by our industry a lot. In '97, I redefined retirement for me as doing what I want to do. And that sounds selfish, but I think we all have this fire burning inside of us for the things that we enjoy and bring value to. And if you can say yes to that fire more often than not, and no to the things that distract you, I think you bring a more productive economy that way. And it doesn't really pertain to your age. So I don't know. What do you guys think about retirement?
Well, I can just tell you this. Debbie and I were talking yesterday about what has been inspiring in life lately, and staying on track with this topic. One of the guys that I've met at a coffee shop I like to frequent, I don't know how old he is, but he is very in tune with 2020 and in tune with our society and the challenges that we're facing, and what he is motivated to help others. And he comes dressed up every day to the coffee shop ready to go. And that motivates me. It says, hey, I want to be a part of something that's bigger than myself. And I think that's what people thirst for, no matter what age they are. Mike Kinghorn, who used to work with us, Mike read a book called Younger Next Year. And I didn't read the book, but Mike summarized it to me. And he basically said, put something out there that is beyond yourself. And maybe you have to acquire a certain skill set to do this. Maybe you have to buy some equipment that's going to help you do it. And it's equipment that you would normally not spend money on. But you do this because you want to do this adventure, or you want to help this person. And that's, to me, what retirement looks like, is it's this constant curiosity to better myself or better the world around me. And those are the people that I like hanging around with. And so if it's an 84-year-old guy, or if it's, a 26-year-old soccer fan girl, those are the type of people I want to be around.
I think that's one of the things that Gimbal has done, is we have redefined retirement over the years, and we don't accept the traditional mindset of what it is. And so the fact that I could say I retired in 1997, I was doing what you're talking about on Thursdays. I gave up doing the things that don't make sense for me to do. I just took on that mindset to focus my energies on the things that are profitable, not only for my family, my friends, our business associates. I'm just using my time more effectively in things that matter. And we had a quote that I sent you this week. I can't remember. It was talking about let me see if I can find it here. It's talking about the biggest waste of time that you could have. Here it is. It says, by a guy named Benjamin Trudeau. I don't endorse him or know anything about him, but he said the very worst use of time is to do something very well that need not be done at all. And so that goes back to what you're saying, Doug, get rid of something. And so retirement doesn't mean get rid of your career. It just means reframe how you consider what you're doing with your time. In my view of retirement, if you take the commodity that the world has put out there that started in this kind of history of retirement, it makes your job something you're trying to get rid of. Like, I can't wait until I quit this job, rather than take control of your life and say, if I don't like this job, I need to get out of it today and go find something that I can just pour myself into. Because I think that idea of I can't wait to quit working, it devalues your current time that you have in life. I think I think our industry has done a great disservice to the majority of people that view retirement that way.
Yeah, it devalues your influence. And, I, as a kid, 10, 11, 12 years old, I thought retirement, the idea was golf clubs, South Florida, and a Cadillac Fleetwood. And today, what I'm seeing from people that we know and get to do business with is retirement is not that at all. You know, retirement is friendships, it's family, and it gets real excited when you start spending your money on those things that are most important to you instead of just accumulating it. And that's something we want to help you do.
And that's why I'd like to defend my comment about is that job about the 84-year-old, because he was doing what he loved. And I'm sure even at 84, he might have quit his job as a caddy, but I'm sure he'll be doing something else he loves, feeling purposeful, hanging out with friends, hanging out with family. Just what it's all about.
We were just giving you a hard time.
I'm just bringing it back up.
Well, I think like with my 84-year-old friends or family or whoever, there's physical limitations that go on that probably the real life, and I know we're probably running out of time on this idea, the real life possibility is there could be these negative thoughts that say, what value am I really bringing at this point? And so our encouragement to all of you, regardless of what age you are, is to build those relationships cross-generation. You guys need to get to know somebody like Amanda or call Amanda and check in, but to have those different age bracket relationships, I think just keeps everybody relevant, because I learn a lot from my 84-year-old friends. I learn a lot from my 26-year-old friends. I just learned while we were sitting here that I don't need a gold ring anymore, that I know that you can get a tattoo instead of a ring. I knew that part, but and I'd seen those hipster little rubber things.
I'm not suggesting that. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, and so Amanda brings great value to us because she brings ideas that we really wouldn't, I don't think, have considered ourselves. And so there's give and take between those different age groups. And I encourage all of you out there, whatever age group you are that are joining us today, to reach out to those other people, because they're going to bring incredible value to your life, whatever's going on to your life today.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff, and I'm on the heels literally of that. You know, as you get older, stuff happens, and I was out riding a wakeboard last night, which I've always enjoyed wakeboarding and slalom skiing and surfing and all that, and my age caught up to me last night. But I guarantee you, once this ankle heals, I'll be back on the wakeboard. And I want to encourage you, if you're out there and you're healing during this time, it's summertime and you want to be outside, still go outside, even if it just looks different. If it looks like sitting down, just go sit down outside and make it a great weekend. Before we sign off, I wanted to just do some housekeeping. Is next week, is that 4th of July? And so on the 3rd, you know, one of the benefits of working in the stock market is we get bankers hours, and there's all kinds of federal holidays. And so I didn't know this, but on July 3rd, the markets will be closed because Saturday will be the 4th. And so they wanted an excuse to take the day off, I guess. So anyway, we will not be meeting on Zoom next week, but we'll definitely be looking forward to the week after, touching base with you and catching up on the markets. What else before we head out?
I've got 3 books this week. I'm willing. I gave such a great sales. I gave such a great sales pitch on this one. Don't all line up for this one, but
that's a great white elephant gift, everybody.
It is. One of our regular viewers wrote this book, and it's called Existence. Ray wrote this, and I bet if you have a curiosity about it, it's a real thought-provoking book, and I highly recommend it. And I'm willing even to give up this one, but I bet we can even get extra copies if we have more requests.
Ray, he's on the Facebook machine, and he posts some great axioms. If you want to get on Ray's page, that book is a great book. It's beyond my intellect, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
I highly encourage it. So if you want that, we'll get that to you. And then we had another author that comes to us is that we've got this one called Financial Survivors. Tenor, 12 years from now. So we'd encourage you to take a look at this, and not only take a look at it, it's got some worksheets in there to help you think through some really important things out there. So, but before we leave, I just want to contradict this Mr. Osler guy. I don't know and I'm not sure we have Canadian guys too, but he is pretty pretentious talking about the uselessness of those men over 40. Doug, you keep getting on that wave board there, and you don't give up on life, man.
We'll be back at it. Hey, and we're going to be back at it with you in 2 weeks. So everybody have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July. And we'll just look forward to seeing you soon.
Happy
Thanks, guys.
4th.
Bye.
Bye.